You are listening to the Cheap Seats.
Who are these guys?
On Twitter at TCSWillisMSP Detterman, Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
Here is Steve and Steve.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is time for the Cheap Seats. I'm your host, Steve Willis. Alongside me, the Cubs hat wearing,
that's me,
very own Steve Detterman. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm ending up a week of vacation, so I've had a nice week to kind of relax a little bit, watch a couple of games, just kind of, kick back here as we get down towards the end of baseball season.
The end of baseball season.
And also the beginning of football.
That's right. And it's all coming to a head.
It is.
The Chicago Cubs won again today.
Yes, they did.
One game away
from clinching the home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs.
That's correct. And in about 7 minutes, David May Jr., the very fantastic scout for the Toronto Blue Jays, is going to be on with us to talk a little postseason baseball. The Blue Jays are in the heat of the race right now themselves.
Right now, they've got like about a game and a half lead, I think, over the closest competitor for that wild card. I mean, it's coming right down to it. Toronto. Boy, I tell you, we'll have to ask Dave what's going on. I mean, they had all the offense in the world, and the pitching was kind of shaky, and now the offense is kind of gone. The pitching hasn't been as bad, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, as you cut in and out there.
Yes, I know. I think it's sabotage.
Yeah, sabotage. And why would that be?
Sabotage. They don't want me to talk. And
so how about the New England Patriots last night?
I mean,
27-0.
Just when you sit down, my wife and I are sitting down with our picks. We're going, okay, they're down to their third string quarterback. Man, and Houston's playing they're playing good right now.
Right.
We're going to have to go with Houston. We're going to both have to go with Houston.
And
we both went with Houston, and Bill Belichick pulled a Bill Belichick, and boy, I tell you, they were just ready to play last night, weren't they?
Did you see the stat line on the New England passing game?
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't horrible, but at the same time, you could tell they kind of protected.
Well, yeah. I mean, he didn't throw for a lot of yards. What do you have, like 150, 160 yards?
Yeah,
throwing?
It was something like that. And
but they didn't need to do that.
It was 11 of 29 or something. Very safe passes.
Their defense was just unbelievable.
Ridiculous defense.
They took away the outside game to Hopkins. Fuller had a couple of nice catches, but there was no running game to speak of.
Really, what's really funny about this is after watching Houston 2 times in the last 2 weeks, I can tell you, get rid of Will Fuller, and you can pretty much put 2 guys on DeAndre Hopkins all game, and you've shut down the vast majority of everything
those two are your receivers.
Now, mind you have to have a defense that has 3 capable defensive backs.
Yep.
That one that can stay one-on-one on Will Fuller all day long, and then 2 that can double up a good corner and a good safety that can double up DeAndre Hopkins. But I think that is going to be the formula to upend Houston throughout this year. I think the New England Patriots figured that out early.
I agree.
And I have nothing but faith that Tom Brady is going to come back into a 4-0 situation.
Yeah, we had worried about going into this because they had a couple of tough games early, but would they have Arizona and then they had Houston.
Yeah, so far so good. Look, and what do they got? Buffalo coming up.
Yeah, so they've taken care of Arizona, they've taken care of Miami, they've taken care of Houston, and you got Buffalo coming up.
Now I'm gonna give this to all the hot takers out there that are talking about Tom Brady being in trouble. Look, guys,
no.
Tom Brady's not in trouble.
No.
Okay? This is not a Trent Green goes down, Tom Brady comes in. This is not that, or Drew Bledsoe, rather, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady comes in. This is not that situation.
No.
All right? This is not that situation.
Tom Brady is so far away from Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe wished he was as good as Tom Brady now in his prime.
Right, but what I'm saying is you've already heard the rumors that after Jimmy Garoppolo's first game, Tom Brady's going to come back and now there's going to be a real quarterback controversy and all this.
No.
Look, when Tom Brady came in for Drew Bledsoe 15 years ago in that game versus the Jets. It was against the Jets. When he came in and lit up the scoreboard for the New England Patriots and literally showed the whole world that Tom Brady is as good as what he is, it completely changed the dynamic of the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Patriots right now are winning in spite of their quarterbacks.
They are.
Not winning because of their quarterbacks. It's a huge difference in dynamic here. Drew Bledsoe 15 years ago was supposed to be the leader of what was a fairly talented team.
I mean, you got to remember, they were on their way to the playoffs with Drew Bledsoe when he got hurt.
Right. They were a fairly talented team.
They were on their way to they were just on their way to making the playoffs.
Right. And then Tom Brady turns around and makes them
Super Bowl contenders year after year after year.
Dynamic team.
Yes.
A much more dynamic team. So trust me, my friends, Tom Brady's job is safe.
Oh, always.
Is very safe.
His is safe until he decides he does not want to play again.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
That is it.
So I would venture to say one person's job is not safe. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Did you hear Chris Bosh failed another physical, and now he's
talking retirement now.
Yeah, he cannot be in training camp.
No. That's something that you don't want to mess around with. You have blood clots and so forth, forming, and that you don't want it to, especially with all the exertion and everything they do, and stimulation that they have as far as running and playing the game.
Right.
That's the last thing you want to have happen, and I don't blame him. I mean, hey, life is more important than the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really scary to think that we could have a situation where Chris Bosh could be running up the floor and just collapse. And if he collapses from a blood clot, I got news for you, kids. There's only one reason why, and that's because it went into his heart, and we don't want to hear that story. And we've seen that I've seen that in my lifetime on the court.
Did you see Hank Gaithers?
No, not Hank Gaithers. It was the young man from Boston, the Celtic. Played with Robert Parrish.
It wasn't Len Bias, because Len Bias, it was the other one. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, his name escapes me right now, but I'll remember. I didn't really follow basketball as much at that time.
Right. No, I know that's when Boston was cursed. Everyone that they took,
right.
They had just the horrible incidents.
That was right around the time that Larry Bird was thinking about calling it quits.
Right.
He was right there with Robert Parrish. What was it? Abdunabi and those guys. I can't remember his name now to save my life, but. Anyhow, I've seen it, and so it's a frightening thing. It's a very scary thing, and I really, I think he's doing it right. If he's more concerned about his health,
right,
he's doing it right. I mean, come on, Bosh, you had a good run. You got NBA titles. You got to play with LeBron and D Wade, arguably two of the best players in your generation.
Relax, enjoy your family.
Enjoy the rest of your life. You have a long time to live, young man. Go do it.
You got enough money.
Yes.
Enjoy.
You're not going to be hurting for money.
No.
Go do it. Go have fun. So, anyways, we are going to get David May Jr. on the line.
There you go. We need to be talking baseball. We are now down to the last 9 to 10 games of the season for these folks. Can you imagine? I mean, it just seems like we are starting the season. Remember that?
Yeah.
April, we're oh my God, baseball is coming. Baseball, it's here. Oh, this is fantastic.
Right.
And now we're getting down to playoff crunch. The thing that surprises me is we're still 9-10 games out and only one team has clinched. Only one team has clinched their division. That's it.
It surprises me, but then it doesn't, because there always seems to be a handful of good races this time of year.
But there really, there are, but there aren't. I think the thing that really sets us off is the Cubs clinched so early. You've got a couple teams with 9-game leads, so that they're down to one game. So that makes a big difference there. The Nationals, they have a magic number of 2. Texas has a magic number of 1.
So it's all going to be wrapped up in a matter of a couple of days, probably. Anyhow, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with David May Jr. talking baseball. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
XCRS, Elkhart Internet Radio. Let me hear without a trace.
Since 1980, Mr. G's has been serving up good food, good drinks, and good times. Woo! Located at 708 Lincoln Way West in the heart of Osceola. They are open 364 days a year with live music on the weekends and food and drink specials every day. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and check out their website, MrGOC.com.
Stan, Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Stop in every Thursday for the world-famous prime rib or to watch your favorite sporting event on their mini HD TVs.
Woo! NASCAR!
Smoking is allowed, so you must be 21 or over.
Perfect.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XCRS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happened for the week, tune in to xcrsradio.com. And remember, it's a world live radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday nights with Kelly Sue.
And we're back to Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio. Always a great time to talk baseball, and no better person to do that with than a very good friend of ours who is in Baltimore currently, putting in some work, getting the time in, and that is the great scout of the Toronto Blue Jays, David May Jr. How you doing, sir?
How you doing there, David? Everything going good?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
All right, so playoffs right around the corner. It is it's obviously a very exciting time. Just being a fan, much less working in the baseball community, especially if you have a team that's right in the thick of the playoff hunt, much like your Blue Jays are, and. What is the dynamic in the front office right now when you have a team that is on the verge of looking at postseason baseball?
I think we're all last year it was a lot more tense, but we feel like we did, and they've been there before. Counting on players, being there for the opportunity. I think players allow us to play out. Have a lot of confidence.
Hey, David. I think we're having a little bit of a connection issue here. We can barely hear you. I don't know if you're on a speakerphone or car phone or what's going on.
Okay, is this better?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Much better,
Yes,
much
yes,
better.
yes.
All right, try that again if you don't mind.
Okay. I think for us, we feel like we got a good team and an experienced team, and one that has been through this last year, and we just hope that the experience and leadership of the club, plays out, and we fully expect it to. And so we're confident and hopeful at the same time.
Well, I mean, it's got to be very difficult for the front office, but also for the scouts like you in general, because I mean there are 5 teams that are fighting for 2 wild card spots right now in the American League, and it's just gone back and forth. I know you're in Baltimore right now. I mean, does it get to the point where you're kind of looking over something else, going, oh my God, I wonder what Detroit's doing. I wonder what this is doing, and just wondering what you're going to do?
I mean, you're confronted with it every day. I mean, when you look at the scoreboard and in the outfield, you're following it but we're lucky. I mean, last year was more tense. This time I'm enjoying it. And the thing is, I think that, if we do what we do and we win series, 2 of every 3, we feel confident that, that will do the job. And that's the kind of, that's the belief that we have in this group. We think that they're good enough to do it. And we have the teams that we got to beat right in front of us. So, that's the thing. I mean, the teams that, stand in your way of the goal, that's who you want to play rather than a team that could look to upset it.
Now, on the opposite of that, where you've got right now 5 or 6 teams fighting for those last 2 playoff spots in the American League, you go over to the National League, and the Cubs have already clinched. They've been a week out clinching. What are some of the problems that they can fall into as far as, I mean, you've clinched so far out. Is there a tendency to maybe lose focus or lose a little bit of an edge as you come down to the final couple of games?
Yeah, I believe so. I was with the team, very much like that team, actually better, was 116 win Seattle Mariners. And down the stretch, they played more for the record than anything, so that helped them. But they were so far ahead, so they played for that. But in comparison, say last year, we were able to clinch in the series before, and we went into Tampa and started to rest our starters and rest the and use the secondary guys off the bench. And I think you fall into a trap where you start the playoffs and you're not used to the intensity of that run. So there is a trap because of there's a difference in the intensity that you feel when the playoffs begin. Every pitch is critical. And it's something that unless those guys have been there before, it's very difficult for them to adapt to. It takes a little bit for them to get their feet on the ground.
Okay, so we talk sometimes about what teams have to do, switching modes, going from the marathon regular season mode to one series and you're out playoff mode. We talk about what managers and players and such, what they have to go through, how dynamically different, the game changes for them. What changes for you guys? What changes for the scouts now that you're going into October?
I think the difference is now it's not so much about we used to during the season we're evaluating on the talent, and we're looking at guys who could help our team, and now we are literally we're breaking them down. We're looking for tendencies. We're looking for little clues or little weaknesses that we can pick up that will allow us that we could exploit. Whether it be a way a guy approaches the ball in the outfield, where he lays back on balls in the corner, stuff like that. We're looking for what plays they like to run in certain situations, who the guys are hitting and running with. It's more of an advanced type of situation where we're looking at, are anticipating what they're going to do to try to beat us and kind of give our guys a heads up as an idea of what, we can exploit. That's the difference between this time of year and the rest. We're looking for a competitive advantage.
Now, being on both sides, I mean, you were there. You said like when Seattle won, way out, and you've been there right now in a tight, confrontation you're going through right now, and last week coming to last of the season. As far as scouting, I mean, do you like it better where you know who you're going to play, or is it something where when you come down to 4 or 5 teams, it becomes more of a guessing game? Is it easier one way or another for the scout to sit there and say, okay, now we got 3 people here, or we can everybody has to split up? How does that go for you guys?
Everybody, every club that is within striking distance in the playoffs, we've got 1 or 2 guys there, covering them. So we cover everybody the same. There's about 8 or 9 teams that fall within that could be that we're looking at in the postseason, and everybody is being scouted thoroughly. In that way, that's what we could end up meeting them. And so it's we scout everybody just in case. Last year I had the Minnesota Twins until they were eliminated, and then I bounced to another team like the Chicago Cubs. Last year, right, which kept me busy, for most of the year. So, but that's the way it is.
Now, if you have
prepare.
Okay, now if you have two scouts at one game, say you and another guy are there. I mean, do you guys get to some players and disagree with what you see as far as tendencies in that, and then go over what compare notes, so to say? Yes,
we will compare notes about what we're seeing. Generally, the way it's generally broken, there's guys that are better at picking up tendencies with the hitters, and there's guys who are better with the pitchers. And so, in this instance, you might have might be paired with a guy who can pick up pitchers' tendencies, and like for me, I'm a hitting guy, and and I'll pick up what the hitters are trying to do and what they can't hit, and what they do like to hit in certain counts. And so that's that's what we do. We try to pair up and try to team up and put together a game report or a game plan for these guys, for the club going forward.
Now, how satisfying is it for a scout when you're sitting there, you're watching the tendencies in that, and you pick up something that no one else has picked up, and then all of a sudden you see that used in a future game? That's got to be a big thrill.
Yeah, you love it. You love it. It's you when you watch your game plan play out, and you see them using, because I mean when I'm watching a game, I'm watching the way our pitchers are attacking them, and I know if it's the way that I suggested or not. Some pitchers go by their own thing. I mean, R.A. Dickey is not going to listen to anything I have to say. He's got a different way of approaching the guys, but it's very, very satisfying, especially when you come out and you win.
Okay, now I know we only have you for a short time, so let's hit some baseball real quick. Some other teams. I want to get your opinion on this. Of the division leaders in the American League right now, Boston, Cleveland, and Texas. If Toronto has to face one of these teams, which team right now would you rather? Just your opinion. Which team right now would you rather not see in first round of postseason play?
That's a tough one, and I think right now I've seen Boston for seven of the last 10 games, and they haven't lost. Well, they lost once, and it was a really well pitched game. I think there's a lot of ways that they can beat you, and I think their starting pitching is coming together. But there's something in me that tells me that team I don't want to face is Texas, and I just think the starting pitching is dominating, and they do have enough hitting and they do have enough speed, and I think that would be a really tough matchup for us.
Okay,
the toughest matchup of any of them.
All right, last question before we let you go, David. Toronto makes it all the way to the World Series. Who in the National League are they playing for the title?
Well, you'd have to say the Cubs at this point, just based on there are very few weaknesses with the club. But obviously, my brother works for the Cardinals. I'm hoping they do well or get in and do well, and that would be my second hope. If that, I would like to match up with my brother in the World Series. That would be really cool.
That would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. The way they've been playing the last couple of games, so
yeah,
that might be a little. Yeah. They're searching right now just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they're hoping.
Yeah,
David, I tell you, it's always a pleasure to get to talking to you. I know you got to get to work. I thank you once again for coming in on short notice.
Okay, good. No problem.
Take care, David. Yep.
Talk to you guys.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Once again, David May Jr. Always with great insight. Love talking to him.
Yeah, it's nice to get that scout's perspective as far as the difference between, like you said, during the season you're looking at what they're doing and so forth. You're just scouting the hitting or whatever, and now it's like, okay, now we need to look at how we're going to beat you.
Right.
Because previously we're looking at, okay, how would this player work with us if we could trade for this guy, if we could get him or whatever, and it changes on a dime.
Right. Now all of a sudden, we're worried about how exploiting your weaknesses.
I think
the guy that we were just trying to convince to the general manager has no weaknesses. Now we have to figure out what weaknesses he has.
We have to find out.
Our starting pitcher's going against him.
Yes, we need
Tuesday
to find out
night.
Yes, we need to find out how to beat him. And I agree with him. Right now, Boston's playing lights out in the American League. I absolutely
agree.
Are. I mean, their offense is a murderer's row.
Right.
Their pitching was always suspect, and it's starting to come around now.
What he did say about the Rangers pitching, though,
yes,
I mean it is really hard when you get into the postseason to lose with great pitching.
Yes,
that is one of the great pitching, great defense. Those are the keys to victory most times in postseason.
That is true.
So I do like his nod to the Cubs.
Well, I think he knew what we were fishing for there. I think he had that idea. I mean.
Well,
he's talked enough Cubs baseball with both of us. So.
I'm not saying that was a 50-mile-an-hour.
No. I think that was one of those lob pitches.
Yeah. That was a batting practice home run we gave him there. Anyhow, when you're looking at the last week of the baseball season and everything is starting to clinch, everything is starting to wrap up. Now you start thinking about rest versus rust. When you have a team like the Cubs who has wrapped up so early, how difficult do you think it is right now for Joe Madden to keep these guys on point and focused?
Well, here's the thing. I've watched I've watched the Cubs all season, as you know, and
sure,
as soon as they clinched, they pulled everybody. They didn't have. I think Baez was in there, and I'm trying to think. Soler might have been in there. They didn't have any of the top guys in there.
Right.
And they waited a couple games before they started leaking a couple back in. So he gave them the rest that they needed, and now you're starting to see that top lineup come back in. And I think Madden did this right. I mean, he's got 10 games left. And he wants to make sure that his regulars are out there playing, that they're going. Today, I mean, 5-0 win. Arrieta is back to looking like Arrieta. 10 strikeouts, right. Struck out the side to open up the game.
Right.
Cubs score 4 in the bottom of the first. Game over. But the nice thing is the defense. The defense has just been unbelievable. 3 double plays today. I mean, you got to love that as a pitcher when behind you, your defense is doing things like that.
And there's a reason why they were the starting infield for the National League All-Star.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is
this infield has 4 Gold Glovers on it.
Oh, no. They have 5. Because their best infielder didn't make the All-Star because he doesn't play enough, and that's Baez.
Well,
Baez is their best defensive infielder, and he can play third, short, and second, and give you a Gold Glove, play at either one of those positions. I still think your best lineup has Bryant in left field and Baez at third. So I mean, it's going to be interesting, but I think Madden has done the right thing. He got them out for about 3 or 4 games, and the thing is that he's now weeding these players in. The other thing that I like that he did is he still has Montgomery pitching. So instead of his guys in every 5 days, they're going on like about every 6 days. So they're getting that little bit of a rest in between. And Montgomery has been fantastic. So it's nice to see that the pitching has stuck through. So I mean it's going to be interesting as we wind down. Again, this is the second to last weekend of baseball, regular season baseball.
Especially when you're coming down to the very end of the regular season, the arms start to get tired. The pitching does start to give up a little bit on some of the guys, especially some of the pitchers that are less conditioned or a little more long in the tooth. They have a tendency to not give you as many good quality innings as what they did in April, May, and June. And you're just not seeing that out of this Cubs rotation. They are all still pitching well into the 6th, into the 7th inning, and they're making it a short ball game.
Well, the one thing you always look at, remember way back when the big threshold was when you hit 300 innings pitched.
Right.
Now it's 200 innings pitched.
Right
now in this season, there are 9 pitchers that have pitched over 200 innings. The closest Cub is John Lester at 191. He's going to have maybe 2 more starts before the end of the season. So let's say he pitches 7 innings each game, which will be about it, 205 on the season. That's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
Arrieta pitched 7 today. That puts him at 192.
Right.
He's going to have at least 1 more start. So he'll be close to that 200 inning also.
Right.
Lackey, 183. You start dropping down. Hendricks is at 179. They have not put a lot of stress on these pitchers.
And when you have a bullpen,
wow,
like what the Cubs do, I mean, you don't have to stress.
No, and today they brought back one of the weapons they had early on in midseason that got hurt. Pedro Strop came back and pitched today. So I mean, and pitched well. So I mean, it was interesting. We listened to the last inning coming this way, and you have Gribben for one, or Travis Wood come in for one batter, and then you've got Edwards come in, Carl Edwards Jr. come in and strike out the last 2 in the 9th. I mean, you've just got these arms that are just electric, and if your starting pitcher can go 7 innings, it's game over.
Yeah, because you've essentially made it a 7-inning game because you have probably the best setup and closer tandem in all of baseball right now.
Well, I mean, it's and the thing you go, well, who's the setup man? Is it Rondon or is it Strop or is it Edwards Jr.?
The answer would be yes.
I mean, and that's it. You have your choice
seriously.
Today. I mean, Edwards Jr. he's throwing 97, 98 miles an hour.
Right.
So you go, okay, well that's great, but what are you going to do beyond that? Well, then you can bring a Chapman who's going to throw 104 mile an hour.
Right.
It's like, okay, great.
I mean, I don't care who you are when you're in the 9th inning and you go up to the plate and you've been looking at 85, 90 mile an hour fastballs and all of a sudden you see one that clocks $104. It's hard to catch up to that ball.
Yeah. I mean,
three tries to catch up to that ball ain't enough. You can take 10 tries and probably still not catch up.
And you still have 3 Cub pitchers in the top 9 in ERA in all of baseball, and you have the top 2 guys in Hendricks and Lester, and the closest guy to Lester, who's number 2, is over 2 points away. 2.36 to 2.57.
That really is.
I mean, it's unbelievable what the pitching has done, and to me, it's always been okay. The pitching is there. Which is with the Cubs, that's always scary. I mean, when was the last time we could sit there and go to the Cubs? Well, the pitching is there. It was always the offense is there.
Yeah, the offense would be there, and the pitching would be lacking.
Yes, and that was always the biggest issue.
It was never necessarily the starting rotation was the problem.
It was always relief.
It was the bullpen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, any time your starting pitcher got chased after about 4 or 5 innings, you may as well shut the TV off.
because you had no one that could hold them.
No, yeah, nobody could hold them.
And now, I mean, you look at their relievers. I can't think of a better relief group in all of baseball. And right now, as far as MVP, we look at MVP, and remember Chris Bryant was all the big favorite till a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Have you noticed what Anthony Rizzo has done the last couple weeks?
Just absolutely destroyed.
Just killing everything.
Yeah, destroys every ball that's getting thrown at him. And then anytime he takes the field, it's a highlight reel.
It is. And right now you've got 3 Cubs that are on the verge of going over 100 RBIs for the year.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Isn't it, though?
I love it.
Isn't it, though?
I love it. You want to talk about a team that can generate runs. I mean, what's really funny is they have the pitching right now. They have the starting rotation of like the 95 Astros. And then you
the 95 Astros. You mean the Braves?
Or not, yeah, Braves.
The Braves,
not Astros.
yeah.
I was thinking
Atlanta,
something
yes.
else. The 95 Braves, they have the offense of the Kansas City Royals of a couple of years ago. And then, yeah, the Royals were capable of just generating runs out of nothing.
I would think more like one of those Yankees teams, or even the Red Sox back in the because those were more prolific teams.
I was looking at a little more recent history.
Yeah,
but I mean, think about it. I mean, until a couple of years ago, all these guys were prospects.
Yes,
there was no. We have nobody on this team right now. That is a big superstar, major money player. There is no A-Rod on this team. There is no Derek Jeter on this team. You have these guys. They're rock stars now.
Oh yeah, you have. They're
rock stars now, but they weren't rock stars a couple of years ago. They were up and coming. That's why it reminds me more of the Kansas City Royals of 2 years ago, because that was a team of a bunch of young kids up and coming, and the bullpen. Oh my God! What's this bullpen remind you of? Give me one.
I would say probably the Yankees when they had Rivera. And that whole setup, Stanton and all those guys, probably about the mid to late 2000s, made to like 2005 to 2010. Nice. When they had those guys that would come in, I mean, you knew when it got to Mariano Rivera, it was over. But the thing is that they could leave in the 6th inning, and you bring Stanton in, and you bring. I'm trying to think of a couple other guys that they had. But you bring these guys, that's when they had Farnsworth. They brought Farnsworth in, and you had these guys that would come in, and they would sit there, and they would lock it down to Rivera, and then it was over.
I'm trying to remember.
You could just see the opposing batters just gone up to, oh, my God.
I'm trying to remember. There was in the 90s, you're much better with baseball lore than I am. I think it was not the 90s. It was somewhere in the 80s. The A's.
Oh, well, you had Eckersley.
Well,
when Eckersley was pitching in relief, you go back even further with Raleigh Fingers back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But Eckersley was just ungodly. I mean,
right.
You got to him and it was like it was over. But they had they had a really, really good relief corps, and that's what carried them for those couple years where they had. That's where they had Mulder and all these other guys that were winning 19, 20 games, but they had Eckersley back there.
Yeah, and it helped that they had a couple of guys by the name Mark McGuire and
Canseco, Jose Canseco.
Oh, yeah. The Bash brothers.
You brought them in. You also had Giambi.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jason Giambi
you bring some of those guys. I mean, there were some teams back then, but this is what we're seeing with the Cubs right now is what you get when you have the best minor league system for like 3 or 4 years running.
Right.
They come to the big leagues, and now, the Cubs have had, good minor leaguers in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is now they're getting the big leagues, and they're actually getting coached.
Right.
And they're actually getting shown how to continue and how to continue to improve. And we're seeing that.
Does
who
it
thought
make
this
you,
with Addison Russell?
As a Cubs fan, do you not lament all the wasted years with Jim Riggleman as your head up?
Well, you go back and you go, okay, between
Wait, stop. The way you rolled your eyes as soon as I said Jim Riggleman.
I was waiting for you to say Lee Elia.
That is all I needed to see. That was all I swear that was a made for television moment. That was a moment where I wish this was a TV show as well as a
Where's
radio
the camera
show.
I've been talking about here?
That was perfect. As soon as I said Riggleman, your eyes rolled. It was like a cartoon Google eye. Like, oh my God.
Man. I wasn't expecting, Elia, Riggleman, Piniella, Baker. I mean, you walk right down the line. I look at Piniella and Baker, and those are, two of your, so-called Hall of Fame managers. And to me, they were the worst managers you could have because they had the talent and did nothing with it. They had talent. They did not improve the talent once it got there.
Lou Piniella's biggest problem was he allowed the rest of his staff to kind of run everything. It was almost like the inmates running the asylum when Piniella was there.
Yeah.
He just kind of sat back and let it all happen.
He sat back, had another plate of spaghetti, him and Tommy Lasorda.
And nice.
They just sit down.
And as far as
Dusty Baker?
Yeah, Dusty Baker. It's funny because when you saw it's funny because when you saw him with, I think it was the Giants.
Yes.
And then now with the Reds, you see nothing has changed, and yet somehow he's
in Washington right now.
Washington.
He's in Washington right. Yeah,
okay,
he was
with Cincinnati a couple of years ago.
He was with Cincinnati. Now he's at Washington.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean,
but nothing changes for him.
No. Because you remember when
his coaching style is the same. His managerial style is the same, and somehow the Cubs front office was attracted to him when it was time to look for a coach.
Put it this way, what Baker did to the Cubs, he's doing to the Nationals. Nationals have this talent. They have Bryce Harper. Baker, in that one series that the Nationals played at Chicago, where the Cubs walked Harper, 10 times? How many times? They just walked him?
Right.
And he has not been even close to the same since. And Baker had no answer for it. He just kept running him up there. Keep running him up there.
Yeah, run him up there and run him up there and let him walk.
I mean, it was just like, that's what you got to do something. Man, that's just part of the game, man. Hey, man. I mean, that's
I love your impression of him, too. That's
hey,
great.
man, that's just part of the game, man. Hey, man.
I got to find a Dusty Baker soundbite now.
But that's it now. Hey, man. Hey, man, we like we're playing, man. And, hey, man.
That's
he
great.
just, Riggleman. God.
I knew I was going to strike a chord as soon as I said Jim Riggleman.
Did you say Mike Quade? Bring him up there. Let's bring Quade up there.
Mike Quade with the chewing gum. The constant. I swear he looked like a horse with a whole bag of oats.
We've gone through them, haven't we? I mean, we've gone through tons of them, but all right, I think we finally got to the one.
We haven't gone through. We haven't gone through a break. We've got to take a break, and when we come back, Todd Burlage will join us. We're going to talk Notre Dame football. We need to get to the bottom of this Jekyll and Hyde defense that Notre Dame is playing with, and hopefully Todd can help us out.
Oh God!
You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio.
From all of the games on our big screens to the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats, Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose, 2 half-pound patties, served with bacon, cheddar cheese, and piled high with French fries. Like us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great on your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered between game days, too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And every weekend, Rocks features great music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rocks Sports Bar and Grill in the Yorktown Center building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Since 1980, Mr. G's has been serving up good food, good drinks, and good times. Woo! Located at 708 Lincoln Way West in the heart of Osceola. They are open 364 days a year with live music on the weekends and food and drink specials every day. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and check out their website, MrGOfOC.com.
Stan, Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Stop in every Thursday for the world-famous prime rib or to watch your favorite sporting event on their mini HD TVs.
Woo! NASCAR!
Smoking is allowed, so you must be 21 or over.
Perfect.
It's Maximus and the bartender. Now, all of a sudden, after LeBron goes home, they couldn't wait, Big Daddy. Now, Kevin Durant going back to Washington, D.C.?
Wait a minute. Durant to D.C.? I don't see that happening. Ever.
Marion Barry got reelected, remember?
Kevin Durant is not going to D.C. He's not going to. He's not being traded. He's not going to force a trade.
Remember,
he's happy in Oklahoma City with Westbrook.
D.C. where the cost of living is going up and the chance of living is going down.
Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern at xersradio.com.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites, too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists, and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on xers.com.
Secondary pitches, and they were just kind of sitting on his fastball, and they hit him pretty good tonight. And if you don't have command on your fastball, I mean, these guys, they can hit the ball in the ballpark just like us. And we fought back, they fought back. Probably a heck of a game to watch, but it was a terrible game to lose.
And that was exactly why Dusty Baker. It was always a good. I don't even know. I mean, it was like, okay, the Nationals just lost. You guys just got your butts kicked. It was a bad home run at the end that you gave up. And,
hey, man,
that's what you got.
This is just part of the game, man. You just throw the ball up there, man.
That's the best you got right there. I mean, seriously.
Couldn't stop them from scoring, and then we had some untimely walks in there, and that's makes it tough when you.
That was a good part right there when he squeaked his chair.
Yeah, I said the most exciting part of that interview was the squeaky chair.
Was a chair squeak. Yeah. Somebody get him some WD-40 over there, okay?
Yeah. Somebody get Dusty Baker a little 3-in-1 oil maybe on that chair. See what we can do about that.
Dusty, was that the chair? Or is your bones really creaking real bad here? Really? It's that toothpick grinding in your teeth.
Oh my God. Constantly,
I know.
Constantly on it. I always expected him to walk to the mountain. One of these days, he'd be talking to somebody, walking to the mountain. He'd end up choking on that.
He'd keep flipping that thing up and down. I'm waiting for him to put it through his lips because he has a thing, rotating in his mouth there. You're just going, he's going to bite down one of these times. It's just going to be.
I don't even know. Yeah, I knew a guy who did that, and it's like, man, do you poke yourself in the lip? He goes, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you keep doing it? Do it? Seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like walking up, touching an electric fence and going, that sucks, and you just keep doing it.
I did that once.
Really?
My brother got me to do
You touched an electric fence?
Way back when I used to work I worked on a dairy farm when I was in high school. My brother was the hired hand.
Wait, hold on. Story time with Steve Detterman. All right, here we go.
my brother was the hired hand, and he brought me out because we were running the heifers from the lower 40 up to the barn.
No way to refer to those ladies.
Well, those heifers they're down there. So we walked down. It was kind of overcast and a little rainy and everything else. And I'm walking, and I had my jacket on, and
sure.
And we're coming up, and we're walking through the little run, and there's electric fence, wires on both sides and that. And my brother, hey, don't worry about it, Ron, that's the guy we work for, Ron's turned off the electric fence, so you don't have to worry about it.
Now your brother told you that.
Oh yeah, and I go. No.
Does your brother usually play pranks on you?
He did then. And he goes, no, go ahead. Just reach out and touch it. And I said, well, I'm not going to reach out and touch it. He goes, no, you go ahead and do it. It's off. So being, trying to be Mr. Smart Guy, instead of reaching with my hand, I pulled my hand in the coat and touched it with my coat. Well, I told you it kind of been raining and everything else.
Right. So your coat's wet.
It hit my coat and knocked me about 5 feet back on my ass. I'm laying down and going, he's just laughing. He's laughing away. I'm going, thanks. And then, of course, when we get back, hey, Ron, you should have seen Steve. Touch the electric wire, he did.
And, it's really funny because after you tell me that story, it's almost like I just watched the final piece of the puzzle drop in.
Yes,
into
now
place.
you understand why I am what I am.
Yeah, I said a lot of the questions that I've had about you.
But then again, that isn't the only time I touched that electric fence.
That's probably the only time you should have needed to.
Well, no, there was another time. But that's,
Did you, wait, so you, the second one, now I don't need to get into the story, I just want to know. The second one, did you know it was electric?
I did.
Did you know it was on?
Yes, I did.
And you touched it anyway?
Not on purpose.
Damn it, now I need to know why.
Okay, well,
why did you touch it?
Okay, well, we were trimming weeds underneath the electric fence because in some of the areas the weeds had grown up and they were touching the electric fence, so it was disconnecting the circuit.
Okay.
Well, it was on this part of where it was like almost like a stream going down there. A stream when it wears away the dirt.
Yeah.
So I'm standing kind
of
on
this fantastic thing called erosion.
There it goes. So I'm standing on the edge.
Been doing it for about
I'm standing on the
years.
edge. I'm standing on the edge of this, thing, and and it's only about this, about 8 to 10 inches.
Okay.
And I'm taking the weed whipper and I'm whacking underneath there.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm moving my way ever closer to where it's getting thinner and thinner.
Sure.
Because I had to get way out there. As I'm reaching over, all of a sudden I could feel the ground beneath me start to go. So as it's going, I just kind of tossed the weed whipper this way and reached up to grab something. And I happened to grab the electric fence. I was like, woo! And I ended up down the stream.
And that's probably not the only thing that ended up streaming.
Oh, my. It was, I went down about 7-8 feet, and you laugh. I mean, it was...
Nobody thought to de-energize the fence while you guys were trimming
Well, here's the thing. I
weeds
was with the guy. I was with the farmer. We were out, coming back from making hay.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? Since we're down here, those weeds were growing up over there, and I don't think the electric charge is getting down there like it should. And he had brought the weed whip with him. So I said, why don't you get out there?
Pretty sure you could prove to him
and
that it was.
He goes, why don't you go over there and see if you can whip them weeds up a little bit there, Steve? I said, I could do that, Rod. So I walk over there, Hey, I was getting paid. Whacking away, and all of a sudden you feel go, you throw it, you grab, that's it, you're down. So, stories of the farm, but by God, I enjoyed that job. That was one of my favorite jobs of all time.
Well, it sounds like you got a real buzz off of it.
Well, yeah.
All right, Todd Burlage joins us in 5 minutes. We'll see if Todd may have anything shocking to tell us.
He has some electrifying stuff.
Yes, maybe.
Are we going to have a new defensive coordinator one of these? Well, we should have one after the season.
Possibly. Anyway.
Did you watch the game?
The Michigan State game?
Yeah, the Michigan State game, because Notre Dame never showed up.
Yes.
They didn't show up until late in the third quarter, fourth quarter.
Exactly.
By that time I said, what?
What's really funny? I actually, as I was watching the end of the third quarter, I turned to my father-in-law who was watching it with me, and I said, could they do the cardiac kid thing again?
Like they did at Texas.
Like they did versus
Only to
Texas.
fall short.
But this time win. And actually they came very close, and once again fell short.
And then Brian Kelly did the one thing he shouldn't have done. He tried to rely on his defense. I'm going to punt the ball away with 4 minutes left and rely on my defense to stop them.
Well,
I don't think that's going to happen again.
No, I'm pretty sure next time he's going to go for it.
Well, I think he's going to get down to the point that he's going to be like a couple of his other coaches. You don't punt on fourth down, no matter where you're at. I watched a special on a coach that started that. He would not punt on fourth down.
Really?
And the thing is, he shows you all these statistics and everything else of the percentage of them scoring and so forth and blah, blah, blah. And he said, it doesn't make sense to punt. And he hasn't. And he has like about 70 to 80, 700 to 800% winning record.
Wow, really?
Because it just his kids know exactly what to do on fourth down. They're third down, they're running right up there and running a fourth down play.
Oh, there you go.
He never punts. The only time his kicker sees the field is when they kick off. That's it. He does not have a punter. Doesn't carry a punter.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you can save a couple spots.
Yeah, right. Well, we got to get we're going to come right back with Todd Burlage. Maybe we'll recharge our batteries while we're out. I know Steve can. There's an electric fence.
Yes,
down the
street. There is. Don't dare.
You're listening
close.
to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XCRS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happening for the week, tune in to XCRSradio.com. And remember, it's World Live Radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday nights with Kelly Sue.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists, and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on XERS.com.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
Hi, I'm John Brasser from Team Consulting, Inc. At Team Consulting, we can help your business navigate the maze of governmental regulations that can be overwhelming for any business. We offer over 60 years of experience in environmental engineering, safety consultation, and ISO 9001 quality solutions. We're located right here in Michiana. Give us a call at 574-229-0927. Tell them you heard it on XERS Radio.
I've been Mishawaka so alive.
And we're back, the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio. If you missed anything in the first hour, make sure you check it out on iHeartRadio.
It's electrifying.
It is shocking.
Yes,
shocking information.
to say
interviews and all
the
that.
least.
Yes, just go to iHeartRadio and check it out. Search the Cheap Seats and listen anytime, all the time. And you definitely want to check it out because we have some clips of our next guest. And this man, my favorite writer, because he tells it like it is about some Notre Dame football. This is our boy, Todd Burlage. Todd, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are you?
We are good.
Well,
and
we're trying out, figuring out what we can do to become the next defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm dusting off.
What do we need to do to become the next defensive coordinator?
Dusting off my resume here, getting ready to give it to Coach Kelly. What do you think?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, I have an old whistle downstairs in the basement myself that I'm searching around for. I can't seem to get a handle on. But yeah, that's certainly the hot topic of conversation this week, and really for the last several weeks, even into the end of last season, and probably beyond that, frankly.
Okay, so if you can put your finger on any one thing. And I know this is kind of tough to do, but if you put your finger on any one thing that could be the catalyst for this Jekyll and Hyde defense that we're seeing, what would the first thing you can think of be?
The one thing would be they rank 103rd in pass efficiency defense, 102nd in total defense, 99th in rush defense, 94th in scoring defense, 100th in tackles for loss, and they're one of only two teams in the country, the other one being Nevada, that does not have a sack this season. So if I had to pinpoint one thing, that would be it.
That's a good six there.
That
was a good one.
That's one mighty big finger. Hey, so
he used the whole hand.
At this point, what can Brian Kelly do with Van Gordner? Or is it a Van Gordner problem, or is it the whole? Is it a problem with the whole chemistry of the defense?
The scheme,
what is the key focus here for Brian Kelly now going into this next week?
Well, Brian Kelly keeps pointing the finger at young players. It's all about, we're young. They're coming. These players are coming. They're on the horizon, he said. We have great players defensively. They're on the horizon. They're coming. Well, you know what? Young players on the horizon. He's a seventh-year coach. His recruiting has hummed along seamlessly here. Let me just give you a quick example here for what young players are all about. Alabama, when it started its season, its initial depth chart entering 2016, it's 44-man, 2 deep on offense and defense. Alabama featured 22 first- and second-year players. Okay, they're ranked number 1 in the country, obviously. Number 2, Ohio State featured 21 such players. Freshmen and sophomores, 2 years, first and second year players. They had 21, Ohio State. Notre Dame had 19 of these things. So Brian Kelly keeps wanting to pull this card. We have great players on the horizon. You know what? Notre Dame fans don't want to hear a 7-year coach that's had great recruiting and probably 10 defensive, legitimate NFL prospects on its defense. Notre Dame fans don't want to hear help is on the horizon. It's a work in progress. That's total BS, and you can't. That's unacceptable. I don't care about Max Redfield getting thrown off the team. I don't give a damn about that. Nobody does. You've had some injuries. So does every other team in the country. We get all that. But why your team can't tackle, I have no great explanation for. Brian Kelly did finally this week say, we're going to tweak our practices. We're going to do more hitting. We're going to get a little bit more physical. He talked about speed versus power. He said we're playing so fast that we're running by all our tackles. We're not stopping and then showing the power to bring a player down. Shouldn't that crap be figured out in training camp? Isn't that what you do as a coaching staff? I don't understand why I can watch all these other teams with fundamental tackling, Notre Dame with similar or better recruiting classes, and 10 NFL players on the field. They just don't have a clue how to tackle. I don't know where the blame lies. I would certainly point at Brian Van Gorder, though, to start, because of everything that's going on, really, during his entire tenure here.
You actually just led me right into my next question. Is Van Gorder's job on the line at this point, or are you hearing anything about it?
Well, and of course, I mean, we're not going to hear anything about Brian Kelly's not going to come out and throw Van Gorder under the bus at this point. So, I mean, no, I'm not hearing anything about it. Nobody is. But certainly as these troubling numbers pile up, guys, it's the big... when you talk about a defense, you talk about red zone defense. I'm going to throw more numbers at you because they're so much fun. When you talk about defense, you talk about red zone defense being able... This would define like a Bob Diaco, previous defensive coordinator, bend but don't break style. Mm-hmm. That was kind of his system. Teams would have long drives, but it'd keep them out of the end zone. And it also eliminate the big gash plays. Brian Gorder has done none of this, guys. Let me lay this on you. This is really interesting to me. Okay, Michigan State and Texas this year. They made 10, between the two of them, they made 10 trips into Notre Dame's red zone. They scored 9 touchdowns. Okay, let's stretch that out to the last 5 games versus Power 5 teams. 23 red zone trips, 19 touchdowns, 4 field goals. So 100% scoring-wise there. That's insane to me. Maybe more impressively here when it comes to dubious numbers, since Brian Van Gorder got here, his defense has given up 54 drives of 75, scoring drives of 75 yards or more, including 8 this year. Okay, let's go ahead and give some perspective on that. Bob Diaco's defense in 2012, the national championship game run that year, that team gave up 4 of those, 475 plus the entire season, and he's already given up 8 this year.
Wow.
I could go on and on, guys. We could spend the entire show on here. There's only 2 teams in the country, so it's not only long drives. There's only 2 teams in the country this year, Notre Dame and Appalachian State, that have given up 4 plays of 60 yards or more. So it's not only the big gash plays, it's the long, sustained drives. I mean, it's both. And then it's bad red zone on top of everything else. Those are the big 3. Those are the big 3, and Notre Dame's defense is failing in every one of those 3 with what I consider 10 legitimate NFL prospects on it.
Well, here's the thing, Todd. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier, and we were talking about young players. They're always going to have young players. I mean, that's college football. You have young players. But is this more of a scheme problem? Is this a coaching problem, a player problem? If you take a look at those 3 areas, which one would you say this falls into? Uh-oh.
And we lost Todd.
And we lost Todd. Well, that was a great question, though.
Very good question. We'll have to get Todd back on here so he can answer it.
Well, gentlemen, what I was saying is it was all 3, Steve. Great question, by the way.
Okay, here
it was a great question. Sorry, guys. Sometimes this phone's I mean, when I get fired up, this phone must know to censor me because it distracts me.
Well, you're uncensored now. Take it away.
So I didn't hear the question Steve was asking.
What I was saying, what you brought earlier, you said, there are young players, and the thing is they all have young players. That's part of college football. You can't keep these guys for you can't keep guys for 6-7 years like they do in the NFL. But now with this defense, is this more of a? If you take a look at it, is it a scheme thing? Is it a coaching thing, or is it a player thing? I mean, it has to be one of them. Which one do you see this as?
I honestly am starting to wonder more and more as the questions pile up, is the scheme too complicated for these guys? Because even the players have hinted at that and at this. And I've done stories about this. Brian Van Gorder, he came from the NFL. Okay, so what he prided himself on, guys, is being opponent specific. Okay, we have this opponent. We're going to tear down what we do, and we're going to come after him with a few different schemes. Charlie Weiss did the same thing offensively. That's a flaw. I just think that's a flawed way of going about things in college because you only have 20 hours a week with these guys.
Right.
You have 20 hours a week. So I think what the best coaches do, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, etc., is they do what they do. They perfect it. They do it well. You know what's coming, but you can't stop it. Instead of messing around, trying to become cutesy with different schemes every week that the kids don't understand, and it's too much to digest in 20 hours, I think you just have to do what you do. And I think that's been the problem here. Brian Kelly will stand up for Brian Van Gorder, as he should, and he'll stand behind him. But, boy, there has to be some strain here because this is not working, guys. Notre Dame's now lost 4 out of 5 games here dating back to last year with Stanford, Ohio State. And in those 4 losses, and these are all quality teams, when you throw in Texas and Michigan State this year, they've given up 42 points a game in these things. And, you just don't see any end in sight. The numbers are staggering. We've already rolled through those, so we don't have to revisit that. But the defensive numbers are staggering. And to answer your question, I think it's more about just too complicated of a scheme in too short of time. And then, indeed, you do have a bunch of high school kids trying to learn this scheme, and you have some injuries you throw into it. I think if you just do your scheme every week, it's the same thing, here we go. This is what we're going to do. I think you can implant that in even young kids' heads better than you can trying to rip things down and tweak things every week. I think it's too much for the guys to digest. I really do.
Oh, and I agree with you. I prefer, at the college level, the old KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And the thing
exactly,
is, and the thing is then you can recruit to meet what you need. When you have to sit there and go to a scheme every time, the recruiting becomes a hell of a lot more difficult because now you're trying to scheme these kids. Get them in and do that in simple. Now, you also point out that you said Brian Kelly is going to defend Van Gorder and not going to throw him under the bus. But did we see a little inkling here on the Twitter this last week with the Fire Van Gorder and the like by the Brian Kelly Twitter page?
Yeah, I mean,
is that telling or
was that?
Now
that was
is
a
that
pretty funny story?
Is that telling or embarrassing?
Happened. Yeah, who would have seen that coming? But and obviously there was an exchange on the sidelines during the game and whatnot.
Oh yes,
Brian Kelly was frequently asked this week about when do you keep in mind, guys? Brian Kelly, as an assistant before he took the head coaching job at Grand Valley up in Michigan. He spent 8 or 9 years as a defensive coach. So actually his roots as an assistant coach are all on defense. And, he has faith in Mike Sanford and some of the others on that offensive staff that he's been around for a long time. And the question just kept, when do you, coach, go over there? Perhaps having the boss standing on the defensive sideline instead of the offensive sideline might light a fire under some asses over here. He insists that, he's in tune to what's going on, and he doesn't feel like he needs to at this point. But I think that would be a really good first step. Go ahead, let Sanford and the other assistant coaches handle the offense. That seems to be humming along fairly well, although the offensive line is playing like crap and the running game stinks. But beyond that, I think that really having the boss's presence a little bit more firmly entrenched on the defensive side of the football certainly couldn't hurt. But Brian Kelly insisted that he was not going to do that. What he did do is he tweaked practice this week, where he told us he was going to, instead of, guys, in this day and age, you're worried about injuries, concussions, and fatigue and all that, and I get that. So really you've backed off so much for contact during practice. I get all that. But at the same time, if your team can't tackle, boy, they should probably practice tackling. I mean, hitting these stationary dummies and whatnot, these plastic dummies, that's not cutting it. But Brian Kelly did say they were going to do more contact work and try to do more actual tackling during live drills, not just tackling drills per se, but during the 11-on-11 scrimmage-type situations. They were going to tackle and bring people to the ground and try to show them how to do it. But, man, to me, that's just so too little, too late. Couldn't that stuff have been covered? Shouldn't you have known that your team was tackling deficient? How can you not see that? How can you not see that? I don't know. I really put a lot of this on the staff.
Yeah, it's right in front of them, and they've had it. They've been looking at it very close and up front for like the past 4 or 5 games, as you said. Now switching to the offense, where the hell did Terry and Folston go last week? I mean, we didn't see him. I mean, all of a sudden you lost any type of running game. You brought that up as far as the offense. Where the hell did the running game go to all of a sudden?
I think, when you look at Texas and when you look at Michigan State, they've been playing from behind. They did get their 200 yards rushing against Nevada, and likely they'll get it against Duke tomorrow and be fine there. Brian Kelly he's a lock when it comes to winning as a 3-touchdown favorite, man. He never blows those games. So,
well, he gets them down to 10 points at least.
Yeah, exactly. So don't you worry, man. If he's in the 20s, he's going to win that flipping game 95% of the time. I don't know. The offensive line is totally underachieving. I think Folston as a whole, it's just so funny because everything we heard about coming into this season, when we asked Brian Kelly to hang his hat on certain things, he said this year the defense is everybody's going to be in great position. We finally have it figured out defensively. And then the other one he mentioned how much improved the defense was going to be. And then he said our running game. Our running game is that's what we're going to really lean on offensively. That's where it's going to happen. We have this great offensive line. this stable of running backs. And you talk about the two biggest disappointments on the football team. It is the two strengths that Brian Kelly mentioned. It's the defense and the running game. The offensive line has been absolutely lousy. And a lot of people thought, including me, thought it might be better than last year's offensive line. It's not. It's not at all. And Folston has dropped off the face of the earth. Josh Adams is trying his best. He's emerged as the number one guy. Let me throw this at you guys. I want to throw this at you. We keep talking about coaching leadership, what the problem is there, and certainly there's obviously an issue there. But I can't help a little bit but wonder about the on-field leadership as well. When you look at this year's team captain, okay, you're talking about Mike McGlinchey. Okay, that's fine. Torrey Hunter, okay. Isaac Rochelle, great. James Anawalu. You're talking about four guys that are quiet guys. These are lead by example guys. There's none of that loud sort of in your face that you had last year with a Nick Martin or a Matthias Farley, an experienced guy there, a Sheldon Day, even a Jalen Smith. You don't have that sort of raucous leader. And I hear some of the passiveness that we're getting on the team, some of the inconsistency from really just a very relaxed group of captains. 3 of the 4 captains, everybody but Rochelle, said they were surprised they were even named a captain. So kind of what does that say perhaps about the mood of the team? And I think that might go a long way to explaining sort of the up and down inconsistency that this team continues to show.
Well, if Notre Dame can pull this thing together against Duke tomorrow, which I don't see. I don't see why Brian Kelly wouldn't want to make it a close game just for the entertainment value. But
right.
Since a 2-loss Notre Dame team, obviously now the expectations are get a decent bowl game out of it. Going forward the rest of the season, does this look like Brian Kelly needs to just kind of sit down, tinker, and retool, and just kind of go game by game, get through this season, and kind of call it a wash and start new, or is there anything that Notre Dame is expecting to do with the rest of this season, considering both of their really good games that they could hang their hat on they've lost? I mean, I think their best game they got left is Miami, and that's it.
Yeah, don't forget about Stanford on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and USC
Stanford
will be
too.
a big one, too. At this point, and Brian Kelly even switched when he was asked about, with no conference championship or anything to play for, certainly Notre Dame's in a different realm than most of the other Power 5 teams in the country here. And he did. He said, let's just improve. Let's go one game at a time here, all that coaching bull crap, cliche stuff. But I guess for the time being, when you're playing this poorly, and so many of your units are struggling, I guess that's really all you have. Get through Duke. I suppose it does look like, when you're talking about Duke this weekend, then Syracuse neutral site, and then at North Carolina State, it certainly looks like you could become 4-2 coming into that big game against Stanford. And so, that gets hopes up a little bit. No chance in any kind of playoff hopes. We know that.
Oh, yeah.
But certainly, if they run the table, they could get to some sort of premier, one of the big 6 bowl games. I don't think they will. I don't think this team is good enough or balanced enough or mentally strong enough to do anything like that. Mm-hmm. But certainly, I think Brian Kelly has taken the right approach, at least publicly and probably with his team as well, to say, look, all right, here we go. Let's just improve. Let's beat Duke, and then let's improve again next week and beat Syracuse. But there's going to be some hiccups along the way with this group. It's a sketchy group for sure. Brian Kelly called it a sloppy group, and I thought that was the best thing he said for the entire season so far.
Now, how does this go about and affect recruiting? I mean, they had a decent class. They got a good class coming in so far that have committed. I mean, do some of these commits now take a look and say, "Whoa, wait a minute," and some of those that are out there that you're trying to get, do they also start second guessing whether they want to include Notre Dame on that list?
You know what? It's a great question because they really used Michigan State as a huge recruiting weekend. They brought in a couple dozen high level recruits here for this thing. as far as the 2017 guys, I don't know that you're going to get anybody that's going to jump ship. It's a pretty tight-knit group. Now, never say never. Never say never, but I think more importantly, that, like you asked, Steve, it's the guys that haven't decided yet. And when they see what went on there at Michigan State, and obviously the atmosphere then wasn't very good. Frankly, the Michigan State crowd took over that stadium. You know, you leave that weekend with a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. So certainly, instead of seeing, these are important. Outcomes of these games are important to these kids. And I certainly think that some of the 2018s and even the younger ones that were in town here, I think that will weigh on them a little bit. You know, when you start to look at the history of what Brian Van Gorder's defense is doing, a lot of times if you're a first-year coordinator, you can come in there and say, okay, look, yeah, we're struggling, and that's why we need you. That's why we need you to get into town now. The quicker, the better. When you're a third-year coordinator and you're supposed to have your crap situated and ready to go, that becomes a tougher sell to a kid because you can't say, okay, I'm in my third year now, and we need you in here to make this better. I think that's a tougher sell than it is if you're a first-year coordinator. We'll really never know for sure what the impact is, but I think it's an excellent question and an excellent point, and perhaps worth analysis further. Because certainly nobody left. None of those recruits, especially the defensive ones, left that stadium that weekend thinking, "Wow, I certainly can't wait to play for that team."
All right, so let's because we have to. Let's move on to the Duke game. I real quick, I would love to get your prediction, your thoughts on this game, and finally your score.
Well, score-wise, who knows? I'm always wrong on those. But I think the thing that jumps out at me, David Cutcliffe obviously was supposed to be Charlie Weiss, the head coach of Duke. He was supposed to be part of Charlie Weiss' first staff in 2005. He was his offensive coordinator. The guy is brilliant, and he's done a lot with Duke, consistently getting them to bowl games. Hell, he played Florida State in the ACC championship game a couple of years ago. Who would have ever seen that coming? He coached Peyton and Eli Manning, Peyton at Tennessee, Eli at Ole Miss. This guy's an accomplished coach. I've always wondered, I have often wondered, what would have happened had Cutcliffe not had the heart attack, the heart issues, and then ultimately not been able to fulfill his duties here at Notre Dame, which thrust Charlie Weiss into the role of offensive coordinator. So I wonder if that staff would have had a little bit of better rhythm and held on a little bit longer than it did. All that being said, Duke's problem so far this season is its second halves. They've started quickly. They've outscored its opponents 60-14 in first halves, but been outscored 40-13 in second halves. Okay, well, that bodes a little bit well for Duke because you wonder about Notre Dame, psyche and everything. If Duke can come in here and get off to a false start, I honestly think this team could make it an honorary game for the Irish. And from what they've done so far this year, it suggests they could. I mean, think about it. Duke has scored 63 points in the first half, 13 points in the second half. So that's a little bit dangerous for Notre Dame. I guarantee the Irish don't want to get smacked in the mouth again in the first quarter of this thing.
Especially
coming
at
off
home.
just kind of coming off reeling at 1 and 2. Ultimately, the talent should take over, and I think Notre Dame will be able to score. I don't know for what it's worth. I say Notre Dame 42-24. I think the Irish are a 21-point favorite, so I would actually take Duke in the points at that 42-24 score.
All right, good stuff, Todd, as always. And go enjoy the little bit of Indian summer we're getting because it is officially fall now, but it's 85 degrees in Michiana. So, go enjoy that for the last week or so that we get it until, because, around here every 5 minutes it could change anyway.
Yeah, Notre Dame's out of the playoff hunt before the leaves are even off the trees. How about that?
It sounds like the Cubs of yesteryear.
All right, Todd, we will talk to you next week, buddy. Thanks again.
Be good, boys.
Take care, Todd.
And that was Todd Burlage with us. Sounds like the Cubs of yesteryear.
It sounds like the Cubs of yesteryear.
True.
I mean, the season was over before the first pitch.
Fall is in the air, and if you're a football fan, by now you have nothing left to cheer for.
Wait till next year.
Seriously, football fans around here don't have a lot going for them.
No.
If you are a fan of one of the local favorites, really
you take
don't have a lot going for you.
because the Bears are 0-2.
And they just lost Jay Cutler. They're looking.
He's they still say day to day. I think he's going to miss a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think he's going to miss a few. But they're 0-2. They're not looking good.
No,
Indy doesn't look good.
Detroit's 1-1.
Yeah,
I mean, if you take a look at
Notre Dame's not doing well.
Northwestern stinks this year, which is.
I think Michigan is really about the only bright spot right now.
Michigan and Michigan State.
Well, Michigan State too. D'Antonio's got those guys playing really well right now.
What about? And here's a surprise for you. This is a local team, 4-0. The Western Michigan Broncos. They have 2 Big Ten wins.
This is true.
Two Big Ten wins this year.
Yeah, this is very true.
They have more Big Ten wins than Notre Dame. They have 2 more than Notre Dame right now.
Yeah, they're going to have 2 more than Notre Dame.
Yes,
no
they
matter
will.
What they do.
Yes, they will. But Western Michigan playing very, very well. That is a very fun team to watch. I saw a little bit of the game with Illinois.
Really?
Yeah, very, very good. Very good. Very good offense.
Fantastic.
So,
we might have to make a few phone calls, see if we can get the head coach on here to start talking about it.
That would be neat.
Well, I mean, if you're off to a 4-0 start, don't you deserve to get a little credit?
I think so. That would be neat.
I would say, and what better place to get cred than, our show?
That's right.
Yes.
We'll put
a nickel will buy you nothing.
That's right. We'll put Emily on that.
There we go. Yeah, that sounds good. There we go. Yes, producer Emily.
That's her next assignment. She's done well tonight so far.
Yeah, so far.
She's got us great information.
Yep, stats. There we go.
She pulled up Reggie Lewis for you.
That's right. Oh, yeah, we never did correct that.
It was Reggie
Lewis.
Reggie Lewis, yes.
Died on the court during a game.
Yes.
So it was, if I remember right, though, he had a heart condition. And
yes,
nobody
he did.
knew it.
And no one knew it.
No one knew it.
Well,
he didn't even know it.
And that was like when I was talking about Hank Gaithers.
Yeah.
Where he just collapsed at the free throw line.
Right.
So, but it'll be interesting to see. Myself, Notre Dame tomorrow. I think love the offense. I'll say 38. Hate the defense. I'll say 31. 38-31. I have no faith in that defense at all. None.
Definitely taking the over, and you're taking the points.
I'm taking Duke and the points. Doggone right, I am.
I like Notre Dame to beat up on bad teams because they tend to do that very well.
Yes, they do. Well,
for the most part, they do. Historically, they have under Brian Kelly. So I like Notre Dame to run up the score in the second half. I like Duke to come out hot, and then kind of like what Todd said, the talent takes over, and Notre Dame then. From there moves forward and takes the game. I like Notre Dame. I'm going to go 35-17.
So you're going to take Duke in the points.
So I'm still taking Duke in the points.
Yes, you are.
But Notre Dame, Notre Dame will be a whoop.
I think all of us took the points.
Yeah, right now there's a whole lot of action on that side of the line.
Now we did talk about recruiting, and it was surprising to me that following this horrible game with Michigan State, that Notre Dame did get a defensive commit out of it. One of the gentlemen that came in, one of the guys from.
I'm sure
it was as a 4-star defensive lineman from Pennsylvania.
I am quite sure he looked at that defense and said, "Man,
you know what?
I got a starting spot." Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think right now, as
bad
as they are, he's probably
going, I can start for Notre Dame.
Because, Mom, I can walk in tomorrow and start at Notre Dame.
Yeah. I'm still a sophomore in high school, and I can walk on and start right now.
Can I go to college early? I got enough credits to graduate, Mom. I want to go to Notre Dame and play.
I am going to Notre Dame,
and
hopefully I could be there for the Duke game.
Yes. Well, and Brian Kelly is saying, "Son, can you suit up for Duke?"
Hey, you don't have to worry about it because Van Gorder is going to be teaching the defense brand new this whole week. I
had. You remember? When Van Gorder.
I have heard stories about Van Gorder doing that, completely trashing the entire defensive scheme and starting over from scratch for every game.
These are just out of high school kids. I mean, yes, if you're a pro and you're getting paid to do this is your job. You're spending 40 to 50 hours a week. All you're doing, you don't have to worry about classes. We are saying that the athletes do go to class now. We are assuming that does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Notre Dame, it's
quite
from what I understand, it does. But
quite presumptuous.
Yes, unless you're at Ohio State. Practice. I didn't come here for practice. I came here to play football. Cardell Jones. Yes, look it up.
Producer Emily's like shaking her head at you right now.
Just look it up.
She's just smiling at you.
But
like,
I mean,
really?
when you're in the pros, that's your job. You can spend all day going over the defensive playbook. They split up, and that's what they do. They sit there and they watch film. They do this day after day after day.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that. They got 20 hours a week. That's it.
20 hours a week.
20 hours a week. That's all they have. Okay? And part of that 20 hours is warm-ups, and it's, everything else. Lifting, all that stuff goes with that.
Right. So you don't have 20 hours a week to sit in a classroom and learn a brand new defense.
No.
You have maybe 6 hours to do all that.
Now, if you double that, you can spend half that time going through film. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what they did. This is what you need to do, and let's go over that.
Right.
Now let's go put it to practice.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm a firm believer.
This does beg the question that is this why so many good coaches in the NFL go to college and struggle?
And stink. Yeah.
And vice versa. There are coaches like Nick Saban
that went to the pros and
went
did
to the pros, did bad, went back to college, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I thoroughly believe this. It just, it's, once you're in that college mindset, it's like I said, it's keep it simple, stupid. You keep it simple, and here's our scheme. We're going to do the same damn thing every single week. Stop us.
Right.
Alabama doesn't do anything different. They don't do anything different on offense. They don't do anything different on defense. It's the same damn thing week after week, but they excel at it.
Right.
And they dare you, stop us from doing this. Ohio State's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to change schemes. You don't have to change your personnel and what we're going to line up at and this formation and so forth.
Very good example of that. Pete Carroll, when he was head coach, New England Patriots, offense, defense, very vanilla. Everybody knew what was coming at him.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots did not scare you. You knew right what you were going to get. No tricks in the bag, nothing. He goes down to USC, takes the exact same offense and defense with him, dominates the Pac-10 for a decade. Goes up to Seattle, starts out okay. A lot of energy on that team because of a lot of young talent. The defense was fantastic because of a lot of great talent. All of a sudden, come back down to earth, and here they are again.
I mean, if you take a look at them, it's not.
Here they are
and
again.
The thing is Seattle is not known for their offense. They got lucky with Russell Wilson.
They're definitely not known for their offense this year. They've scored 12 points in 2 games.
Yeah, they haven't scored a touchdown yet.
No.
I mean, you're talking about a team that they got lucky with Russell Wilson, and they got lucky with Marshawn Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that team is a defensive team.
Yeah.
And that's what they put their hats on. And, Pete Carroll's been good because he's had a good defense.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right. I mean, his scheme is still very basic.
Oh yeah.
You don't see anything out of Seattle that scares you. Nothing unusual except for an extraordinarily talented defensive backfield.
Right.
And once that goes away, once injuries start taking that away, the Tiger loses its teeth. It's very easy to find ways to beat them at that point.
Yep, I agree.
And so it's another very good example of he takes the same scheme. He can do it in college, but once he gets to the pros, it's just too much. It's too easy to break it down. You can spend too much time breaking it down. In college, as you said, as Todd said, 20 hours a week, that's all you get.
Yeah.
You don't have enough time.
It's got to be vanilla, but you've got to make that vanilla the best damn tasting vanilla you ever had.
Right.
And that's what Nick Saban has done. He's taken his offense, he's taken his defense, but he's made it the best that's there. He knows how to recruit. His players come in knowing what they're going to play.
Right.
When you're recruited at Notre Dame right now, defensive-wise, you don't know what the hell you're going to play.
Right.
Am I going to rush? Am I playing outside? Am I playing inside? Am I a speed rush or what? I have no idea what I'm doing. Are we going to do are we doing a man? Are we doing a cover 6? Are we doing a zone? What are we doing back here? And that's the problem. I liked what I liked when Van Gorder first came on. Van Gorder's defense was exciting. They blitzed. They did. I mean, have you seen any blitzes this year?
No. No, I mean,
remember,
you see a few, but man, it's.
Remember in the first 5 games, as Todd said, up until that North Carolina game where all of a sudden he got exposed, they blitzed like crazy.
Yeah,
I mean that team was exciting. It was fun to watch. Right now, this Notre Dame team has 0 sacks. How many Notre Dame teams? And this would be a great question. This would be something to find out and ask Todd. When was the last time Notre Dame had gone 3 games to start the season without a sack? Without 1 sack.
That would be a fantastic stat.
Because normally at the beginning of the season you have your easier games.
Yeah,
your harder games come later.
Right.
And the thing is that right now this defense they have no identity. I don't think they have a leader on that defense. I think their leaders are freshmen. Some of these freshmen, what I've seen, some of the freshman defensive line they brought in, Dalen Hayes. I love watching some of these guys play.
Right.
But where's that line? It always was a linebacker that was a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Is Niles Morgan going to step up and be a leader one of these days? Are we going to have Greer Martini show up and be a leader? I don't see these guys taking control. They're the people that call the plays. That's you need a leader out there, and I just don't see it. I agree with Todd said. Their coaches or their captains on the field. Who are these guys?
Right.
I mean, they aren't saying anything. They aren't getting people fired up.
Right.
And that's a problem right now.
And that is it's something that Brian Kelly needs to work on. But at the same time, how do you generate that intensity? You have to have the guys that can resonate that throughout the locker room, and I just don't think he has those right now. I think he's lost all of the intensity that he had because those guys that carried that intensity with them, they've moved on to the NFL. They've graduated out of school. Now you're left with these younger guys that are more complacent. They're more quiet. They're happier just to sit back and lead by example, as Todd said. So I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle, but this is why Brian Kelly is the head coach. He's got to figure out how to make this a motivating factor and move the Irish ahead. And it starts tomorrow with Duke. We'll be right back after this. We've got NFL Week 3. And the Patriots just happen to be on their 3rd quarterback. And now that looks like they might be in trouble. We're going to talk about that and a little bit more just on the other side of this. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio.
Hi, I'm comedian Chris Ray, and I listen to XERS Radio.
Ding! From all of the games on our big screens to the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats, Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose, 2 half-pound patties, served with bacon, cheddar cheese, and piled high with French fries. Like us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great on your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered between game days, too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And every weekend, Rocks features great music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill in the Yorktown Center building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Hey, sports fans, this is Steve Willis, host of The Cheap Seats, one of the new additions to the great XERS lineup. Tune in Friday nights at 6 p.m. right here for commentary and insight you won't get anywhere else. This isn't some homer talking about the local team or some old hack hipster trying to be cool using a bunch of lingo you won't understand. I'll give you the biggest stories in sports every week with fresh perspective, tons of straight talk, and none of the jargon. Join me. I got the best seats in the house.
Hi, I'm John Brasser from Team Consulting, Inc. At Team Consulting, we can help your business navigate the maze of governmental regulations that can be overwhelming for any business. We offer over 60 years of experience in environmental engineering, safety consultation, and ISO 9001 quality solutions. We're located right here in Michiana. Give us a call at 574-229-0927. Tell them you heard it on XERS Radio.
I've been Mishawaka so alive.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
Tune in Wednesday night at 6 p.m. for Through the Deep Tracks with Bill McDonald.
We want to welcome you back to XCRS Radio. Through the Deep Tracks show tonight, and we're traveling down the highway here. Strap on your helmet, board the short bus. It's going to be a rough ride. You're traveling the deep tracks tonight with Mr. Bell. We're in
Through the Deep Tracks.
And I want to wish him a happy birthday. We're going to carry on now with a song from the Rolling Stones, and actually, it was this week. And a happy birthday this week. He just turned 62 this week. And we're going to finish out the evening with a track here, the third track from the album.
Wednesday nights at 6, only on the X. XCRSradio.com. Through the Deep Tracks.
The Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio, brought to you by DDW Transmission. We, hello, Ashburn, Virginia.
Hello, Virginia.
Yes. No,
we are so proud to have you on the show tonight.
Talking during the break with producer Emily.
Yes, we have just decided to go with the producer. Yes, and and we're going to. We have a social media director now.
That is right. She is now in charge of social media. See, this is what happens when you show up.
Yes.
You get promoted and then you're given jobs.
And you'll get paid as much as we do.
That's right.
You'll get the same paycheck as we do. We promise that we will not get paid more than you.
That is absolutely
We share
correct.
the wealth. We share all of our wealth.
That's right. You can have a third of my income.
That's
from this
right.
Job.
There you go.
So, speaking of things that come in threes.
Oh my!
We are in the third week of the NFL.
Yes, we are.
Regular season. The Patriots are getting ready for their third game.
No, their fourth game.
Or no, is it?
Yeah, because they played last night.
That's right. They played their third game last night. And now they've gone through 3 quarterbacks. Well, technically
two. The one suspended.
The one they're not getting back. So they were on their third string quarterback in this game.
Bill, do you have a fourth quarterback?
Really, honestly,
he doesn't.
There's a sign in front of Gillette Stadium that says "Quarterbacks needed. Apply within."
Is there really?
There should be. If there's not, there needs to be. Somebody needs to find that.
After watching last night and what they did to Houston with their rookie quarterback, just bring Edelman out there. Just put Edelman out there and let him run the show. I mean,
he was
he was the backup last year.
Right,
he was a backup last night.
Right, and so they're actually pursuing the thought of giving him reps throughout the week.
They should.
Since they have a long week now.
Now, did they say Brissett is out?
Brissett is not necessarily out, but he does have a sprained ligament in his thumb, and that is on his throwing hand. And unfortunately,
a couple shots, he'll be okay.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you got to be able to grip the football, kid.
Hand off with the left hand.
Yeah,
hand off with the left hand.
And let the defense do its job.
He's going to practice. Give it to LeGarrette Blount and let him run.
The bad news is you're looking at a possible fourth-string quarterback situation for the New England Patriots. The good news is
they're 3-0.
You got to play Buffalo. You're 3-0, and Tom Brady comes back in Week 5.
Yeah.
So really, if you're Bill Belichick, you're saying, hey, if we give it up to Buffalo, we'll be okay. We're still going to be okay. Tom Brady's coming back. Everything's going to be all right. That's what Mama said anyway. Mama said everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to be all right. Yep.
Anyhow.
Yep.
So when I look at the freak out factor here, if this were any other team, you would see general managers taking open tryouts for quarterback right now. But this is the Patriots. And they've got it all pretty much game planned down to the last guy. And Bill Belichick, as we saw last night, Brissett comes out, is protected by the play selection and by the defensive play, and has a fairly decent evening. And then they turn around and mop Houston 27-0.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was horrible.
Right.
You just watch it and go, my God.
And you're looking at this team and you're saying this is your third string quarterback who is your signal caller under center guiding this offense. How are you doing this? Well, it's very simple. The system works no matter who's in there.
Well, we've seen this in the past, Steve. I mean, how many times have the New England Patriots trade away an offensive lineman, trade away a running back, trade away a wide receiver, and you go, how the hell could they get rid of that guy? That guy was like an all-pro for 4 years. And someone steps in, and all of a sudden, you lost a couple running backs. They brought the one kid in from Notre Dame, ran for 200-some yards.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? I mean, they just seem to find people that fit their system.
And it's really funny because I swear Bill Belichick just – He just reads from a sabermetrics book as he goes to sleep at night because the guy can figure out every little nuance of each person. I wonder. I think
I think he's constantly awake.
He's got a cryogenic coffin that he lays in, and it just recharges him.
He's got that oxygen
while
tank.
he's still awake. He's
got that full oxygen tank.
But I really think he's capable of just hand-picking these guys and just dropping them right into his system. Like, this piece fits here, this piece fits here. Like, he is a master at Tetris when it comes to these players. Now, a very good question was brought up to me today. Okay. In fact, we were talking about Bill Belichick and his success here in New England. It makes you sometimes wonder what the hell happened in Cleveland. Because if you remember, he was the coach of the Cleveland Browns.
He was, but here's the thing. I think what happened was, remember when he came to New England, they gave him total control of operations.
This is true.
I mean, he had total control of football operations. He did not have that.
Control.
He did not have that at Cleveland.
No, and of course it's Cleveland.
Yeah,
so,
well, and that's why Cleveland is still Cleveland, and they're 0-2, going to be 0-3, and looking way up because they just don't know what to do. But he had total control when he came to New England. That was the reason. Remember, he was the coach of the Jets.
Right.
They were getting ready to go out and name him as coach of the Jets, and they couldn't find him.
Right.
When they found him, he says, "I'm sorry, I just signed with New England."
Right.
Because New England gave him total control.
My guess is that came out a little more like, I'm sorry, I just signed with New England.
Hey man, hey man,
hey man,
hey man. But I mean, that's the difference. Is that when he went to New England, he got total control. He held out for that, and for them to bring him in, that's what they gave him. And by doing that, that's how he was able to do what he's done. And I mean, how do you bet against Bill Belichick?
You can't.
I mean, when he loses, it's a surprise. I mean,
Right.
you go, wow, really?
Right.
They got beat? I mean, but it's like last night. I expected them to lose last night. I didn't even expect it to be close, and it wasn't close. But it was them that was winning.
Right.
Because, he is able to take what they have. How many other coaches? You lost your quarterback, and you're down to your third-string quarterback going into a week. How many coaches would be on the phone talking to quarterbacks that are out of work right now, trying to get them in to practice and trying to get them in to try them out?
Try like everybody.
And Belichick said, nah, we're fine with what we got. He goes, well, Garoppolo must not be hurt as bad. So, yeah, they're just playing the game, huh? Playing the game. No, they played the game. They played Brissett. And I said, no, Garoppolo's not available. Edelman will be his backup.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, that is what you just sit there and you go, my God, how do you bet against him? You can't. The man just, he never fails to amaze me with what he does on the field. He's not the most charismatic guy or anything else, but if I have one guy to win a game for me on a coaching standpoint, that's the man I want.
Oh, yeah. If you had to start a football team right now and you could handpick your head coach 99.9% of the time, you would get Bill Belichick as your answer.
Yeah, why? I mean, and the thing is, the players and the players know that. Why would they not want to go play for him?
No, yeah, you couldn't possibly pick anybody else.
No,
you really couldn't.
I mean, I think he's one of the first people that they should just go, okay, we're putting you in Canton next year. Well, I'm still coaching. We understand.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
It's fine. You're in Canton now.
We won't set the bust out front until after you retire.
Yeah, it's amazing. So now there was a little other football played last week, and you and I both watched our teams come up on the short side of the stick. There's some good games this week.
There are quite a few good games this week.
Did you watch any of the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game last week?
No, I did not get a chance to watch that.
That was a good game. In pouring rain, but it was a good game. Pittsburgh took it to Cincinnati. Now this week, Cincinnati gets to host Denver. What do you think with that one, sir?
Cincinnati hosting Denver.
Cincinnati hosting Denver.
I like the idea of Denver. I like the idea of Denver having to come to Cincinnati and play in what is a very volatile stadium.
Yes,
because Cincinnati does play quite well at home.
Who dey?
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Denver defensively is still intact, but offensively, you kind of wonder what you have there.
Yeah.
And that kind of plays right into the hands of the Bengals because offensively, that is their strength. And the best way to stop the Denver defense is with a good running game. And right now, Cincinnati probably has the best running game in the AFC North. So
yeah,
currently.
Okay. In the North, yes.
Yeah, in their division, they're
Right.
probably
Right.
they probably have the best running game in their division. So I would say it kind of plays into the hands of Cincinnati. Denver, if they can get a lead, Denver could walk away with a victory because I don't really know if Cincinnati is currently healthy enough to be able to play from behind. They've got a few guys banged up in that wide receiver core. Tyler Eifert's
missing Eifert is, I think, is a big thing.
Tyler Eifert's not going to play. That's a huge loss in the passing game. So if Denver can get ahead, and not to mention the fact that Denver's defense, if they can pin their ears back and just go after the quarterback, boy, that it makes for a long day playing against them. So I like Cincinnati if they can keep the game close or if they can go up early. If Denver goes up early, the Broncos could very well walk away with a victory on that one.
Now, Kansas City coming off a very tough loss and a surprising loss this past week. They're at home. They take on the Jets, and the Jets look pretty damn good against Buffalo.
The Jets did. Kansas City also, the loss was tough because Houston played very emotionally. Houston was really charged up for that game. They remembered that 30-0 loss in the wild card, and they were very charged up to play that game. Kansas City did not play well. Alex Smith actually had 5 incompletions in a row at one point. That is it's very unlike Alex Smith, who is normally very efficient with the football. Kansas City also had 3 turnovers, really hard to come back in a close game when you cough the ball up, 2 of which were fumbles. One was a tip pass interception. So there were a lot of circumstances there that Kansas City literally pulled defeat from the jaws of victory at a couple of points. They were still in it all the way to the end, though. Very end of the game, onside kick away from controlling the football with like a minute and a half left. So the Chiefs were in it throughout. I would say if the Jets have to travel to Kansas City, which they do, I think I like the Chiefs at home. Coming back, they're going to be comfortable at home. They're going to come back and they're going to go after a Jets offense, which is okay, but kind of one-sided.
Right.
And you can't bring a one-sided offense against the Chiefs' defense. Still a very, very formidable defense.
Got a very raucous crowd there, too, which will help them out.
Oh, yeah.
Now, last Sunday night, we get to watch Sam Bradford start his first game at Minnesota and just light up Green Bay.
Yep.
But we also got to see something that we haven't seen, or something we have seen for like the past 5 or 6 games, and it's becoming a problem. Aaron Rodgers had a very subpar Aaron Rodgers game. Right now, I think his quarterback ranking is around 79 or 80. I mean, this is a guy that has the record for the highest quarterback ranking in all of the NFL for a career.
Right.
And so far this year, very uncharacteristically.
Easy for you to say.
Yes, I know it is. But remember a couple years ago when they had the bad start, and Aaron Rodgers came back and said, "Hey, RELAX,
right? Sure.
Relax." And he came out and had a 2014 super year.
Right.
This year, he actually yesterday in a press conference got testy. He got very angry at the media. The media kept bringing up things. He said, "I've got to do this and I've got to do." What you get to watch the games and you see Aaron Rodgers. What is going on? With the Packers quarterback. Now this week they get to take on the Lions, another big NFC North game, and then they give up their bye. So this is like, okay, they need to perform before they take that week off. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers right now, Steve?
What does he need to do?
Yeah.
5 letters here. Just for everybody out there in Packerland and yourself today. RELAX.
That was it.
That's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
That's seriously, that's what Green Bay needs to do. They're a talented team. They have a great offense. They have a fantastic, hard front 7 to beat defense. They can give up the deep ball.
They were missing Sam Shields last week, which is one of their better cover.
Right. But historically, if there is a weak point on that defense, it is over the top.
It's a secondary, yes.
But that front 7 can make up for it. I mean, Clay Matthews, if he is healthy, he is all over the field.
And he right now has a little ding on him, too.
Right. And so if Green Bay, if they can play this get-back game against Detroit at home, get the crowd fired up, get a little confidence, maybe go up on Detroit, the defense steps up, has a couple of big plays. Aaron Rodgers makes a couple of decent throws at home. Once again, comfort level.
Yep.
They're comfortable at home.
This is their home opener, too.
And this is an opportunity for them to just kind of step back in, clear their head, and say, okay, let's do this. We're Green Bay. We're the Packers. We can win this division. We can run this division. Let's go do it.
Yeah, I actually, this past week, in watching the game and being a Packer fan, it was the first time I heard one of his offensive linemen call him out a little bit. TJ Lang actually, stated, we're used to, when you block, you block to 5 or 6, and usually the ball's out, and we're looking back, and Aaron still has the ball. And I think that's been the difference over these last 4 or 5 games, and I think it started last year when Jordy Nelson went out, is that there was no separation. He lost some confidence in these receivers to be where he wanted them to be, and he's got to get that back. Yes, Jordy Nelson is back.
Sure.
But, they lost. Remember how great, how they perfected that back shoulder pass.
Right.
You watched the game in Minnesota, and that back shoulder pass didn't work. The ball wasn't where it was supposed to be. Jordy Nelson wasn't cutting off where it needed to be. And you could tell that they hadn't worked with each other enough. But I think, sort of what you said, relax. He's got to start trusting his receivers a little bit more. He's got to get back there. He was one of the people who get back there. 4 or 5 seconds, the ball is gone. Quick release, gone. No one can get to him.
Right.
Now it's 6, 7, 8 seconds, and he gets into trouble. So I kind of agree with you. I would like to see them also utilize Eddie Lacy a little bit more. I think they've been a little bit lax at going at the running game. He hasn't done bad. He's averaging over 4 yards per carry. They need to bring him in. And they've also sort of forgotten that they've got that other guy in there, James Starks.
Right.
James Starks and Eddie Lacy last year were the first running duos to gain over 700 yards each in a season for, I think, 10 or 15 years. Utilize Starks. Starks is great. Bring him in. He gets a little bit different look that Lacy gets you. He's also very good out of the backfield. We haven't seen the screens. Remember, the Packers are very good at the screens?
Right.
I haven't seen a screen pass in the first 2 games. And that was a staple for them to use that screen because it was something that they did to thwart down the defense. Mm-hmm. Now in this past game, we can take a look at a lot of kind of like Notre Dame kicking the ball, punting the ball away with 4 minutes. Mike McCarthy had a decision to make. It's about 4 or 5 minutes left in the third quarter to kick a field goal or go for a 4th and 2 at like the 30-yard line, the 25 or 30-yard line of Minnesota.
Right.
At that point, he decided he was going to go for it. Didn't make it, passed up the 3 points. What'd they lose by? 3 points. On the road, take the points. Always.
Yep.
In that type of situation. Now, I would understand if you had a 4th and goal from the half-yard line or 4th and goal from the 1. Go for it.
Sure.
At that point, if you don't get it, you pin them deep.
Yeah.
But you have a better chance of getting it at that point or tying them up. At the 25, 30-yard line, you're just giving it to them like at the kickoff. Take the points and put them there anyway.
Right.
So, it's different. I think with this one, Detroit has been one of those teams that, I remember the first week when they won, watching Matthew Stafford yell at his receivers, get down, get out of bounds, do whatever, because, we talked about time management last week. And then this week just basically just disappear for the whole second half of that game. So, it's been kind of a tale of two cities for Detroit, and it'll be interesting to see what comes into Green Bay in play. They lost their number one running back in Amir Abdullah. Mm-hmm. He is out for the game. They do not have Calvin Johnson anymore. He's retired.
Right.
So it's going to be kind of interesting because the defense isn't as good as it used to be.
Nope.
So I'm hoping that this is a game that gets Aaron Rodgers back on track, and we can see those 100-plus quarterback rankings and a quarterback back to what he used to be.
All right. And with that, we are going to blitz the finish line here. I'm going to run down each and every one of the games, and we are going to give just shoot from the hip winners and losers.
Okay.
Just give me a winner. That's all you got. Ready? Yep. Here we go. We got a little music.
Oh, get that NFL football music.
Ready to run?
Yep.
All right. We're going to start with Steve. Arizona, Buffalo.
Arizona.
Minnesota, Carolina.
Carolina.
Denver, Cincinnati.
Cincy.
Detroit, Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Baltimore, Jacksonville.
I am going the upset, Jacksonville.
Cleveland, Miami.
Oh, God, Miami.
Washington, Giants.
Giants.
Oakland, Tennessee.
Oakland.
San Francisco, Seattle.
I still have no faith in Seattle, but I will take them against San Francisco because they suck worse. Seattle.
Los Angeles, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
San Diego, Indianapolis.
I'm going to give Indy their first win, Indianapolis.
Jets versus Kansas City.
Kansas City all the way.
Pittsburgh, Philly.
I don't believe in Carson Wentz against that defense. Pittsburgh.
Chicago, Dallas.
Bears suck. Dallas.
Atlanta, New Orleans, Monday night.
New Orleans is going to win it on Monday night.
There you go. And I've got Arizona, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Baltimore, Miami, the Giants, Oakland, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Win over Tampa Bay. Indy to pick up their first win.
There you go.
Over San Diego. The Chiefs, the Steelers, the Cowboys, and hot Atlanta. Whooping up on New Orleans.
We got about 4 or 5 differences there. We'll see how that comes out.
We will. And that's going to do it for us.
Are we up on Twitter now?
I don't know.
We are up on Twitter.
Producer Emily says we are up on Twitter. What's our Twitter handle?
At the Cheap Seats?
Here, hold on. Producer Emily, speaking in the microphone, tell us what is the handle?
You don't want to do this, but
what's
go
the
ahead.
handle?
Do it.
What is it?
It's XERS_cheap seats.
So at XERS_cheap seats. There it is.
Excellent. Twitter us. Tweet
us at XERS_cheap seats. For Steve Detterman, this is Steve Willis. You guys have a great night.
Good night.
Hey, this is Jonathan Ang from Full Circle. I listen to XERS Radio.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a